Hi, I'm Dark Shades, and for this part I'm going to take off my glasses. In the first part we were talking about what it takes to get through an interview process, and I mentioned my background with the UN and how having a high profile job doesn't necessarily mean you're good at interviewing. So what I discovered after I must have went on about 23, 24 interviews, and I realized I had to be prepared to take something else. So the first thing is, are you going to be prepared? Well, we're going to deal with the first P, which is preparation. Are you prepared to take a different job other than the one you've been doing all the time? That's the first thing. Just keep that in the back of your mind for a while and see how that feels within you, because that might be an option. But when we're dealing with preparation, the first thing we need to do is our CV. Now, a CV can either get you through the door or you don't get shortlisted at all. So it's very important what you put in your CV. And it's very important not to go back too far, especially if you're older. Many of us know that if you're, now they've extended the retirement age, you can work longer, but getting a job is a nightmare, because the first thing you think to yourself is, who's going to want somebody who's in their 60s? But they will want somebody in their 60s if you word your CV right and don't put the dates of years and years ago. Deal with your current position. You could be self-employed and you can put down the skills that you're using while you're off even. Even if you're not working, you're using certain skills to get from day to day. They're transferable skills. So don't minimize them. Sorry about that. So the CV must be a one page, and don't necessarily go beyond the last 10 years. The most recent 10 years are fine, and put down the skills and put down how you did your job. Bullet point, how you got the results you got, because you're going to need to memorize that in the interview process. And it shouldn't be everything you did, of course, but you could put down, for example, I did a supervision report, and then you can bullet point, it meant contacting practitioners, it meant monitoring compliance, and it meant maintaining contact with team leads or managers or line managers, whatever it is. But you have a rough idea, you have a reminder of how you did that. If you're thinking about looking for a new job, start watching how you do what you do, because a lot of us take things for granted and we don't really check or monitor our processes. So we go into work, we turn on the computer, we just start typing. For those of you who are mechanics, you go to the garage, you unload your stuff and you start your job. But you're not thinking about the skills required to do that job. And that is what is important, and that is what potential employers want to know. How did you do your job, and how did you do it effectively and efficiently? Now I'm going to put my glasses back on, because I felt in the introduction, if I can find them, I don't know where they are, I felt in the introduction it was important to have some face contact, because eye contact is important. But I am dark shades, so I'll put my dark shades on. So yes, we're dealing with preparation. So you've done your CV, no more than a page, and you have all the key points in there. And what you've put in there, when you're writing your CV, think about your transferable skills, because that is why it's important to write down how you do things. Because just supposing you're a mechanic, you might think, oh, I can't get a job in an office, for example. But if you're the type of person who gets all their tools in place, they have all their tools, they're prepared, they're organized, They don't have to go borrowing other people's tools and stuff like that. You know what you're doing, you're efficient, you look at the job, you analyze the job, you plan what you're going to do with that job, you know the diagnostics, all of those things. You need a certain skill. And you might think you're just going underneath a car and just fiddling around with a screwdriver, but you need to have some discernment. You need to be able to examine and, anyway, you know what I mean. So I'm a mechanic, so I really don't profess to know what they do, but I'm just trying to give you an example of those transferable skills moving into another post where you can use them: organisation, managing, and discerning, and getting things in order and being prepared. So that was the main thing on preparation. Be prepared to be questioned about your age, and don't say, oh, at my age, and oh, I've done this, and oh, I was good at that. Regardless of your age, you go there full of bubbling, you go there full of passion, full of enthusiasm. Age must not come into it, because employers aren't even allowed to say your age. If you've been shortlisted, and normally the age is not on the sheet that the interviewers get, it's up to you to present yourself in a way that they won't even know your age until they have to photocopy your ID. And by that time, if they photocopied your ID, they already think that you're pretty good for the job. So that is preparation. And we're going to stop there with the first P. This is Black Shades, and we're talking about life skills and finding a job.